We're live to meet. How do you want to start this? Do you want me to start with a surprise, or do you want to get to the surprise at the end?
What surprise?
That's kind of the surprise of it all.
It's outside of the television show, which was full of surprises. You're not talking about TV.
I'm not talking about the television show surprise. I'm talking about a surprise I have for you.
I'd like to get to that now, please.
Okay. As you know, this last week, couple of days, I've been in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know if you knew this, but to fly to where I flew in Mexico, we took a little stop
Houston Airport.
in the Houston airport.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Now, you may know that this...
Sorry, the real one? Or?
The real one,
Okay.
not the one in L.A. that has just been built.
Okay, thank you.
And I took a little pilgrimage
Uh-huh.
to...
Did you get Panda Express?
Panda Express.
Oh, did you have some?
I did not.
That's tremendous.
I did not. I don't really like Panda Express all that much.
Oh, that is wonderful. Did you get to go into the little pilot room?
I did not. They didn't. They tried. They didn't allow me to get in the old pirate room.
Okay, so that part is true.
That part is true. So yes, I took a little stop, checked out.
Is that you looking at the menu?
There are no specials. In case you're wondering, I did a lot of research to figure out which Panda Express it was, because there are several Panda Expresses in the Houston airport.
Really?
So I had to make sure and check that I got the right one. We had to do quite a big walk, but we had about a 3-hour layover.
How did you confirm you got the right one?
2 ways. One, a lot of Googling and asking people which one. It turns out the set he built is kind of an amalgamation of
Who are you
the
asking?
airport.
Are you asking airport people?
I'm asking the internet.
Oh, okay.
I'm asking the Reddits and other fans of the show,
Uh-huh.
and people from Houston mostly. It was mostly on like the Houston Reddit forums.
Okay. So it wasn't like the airport workers who are...
No, I was not walking around
deep
going,
in the...
hey, do you know where they filmed the rehearsal? No, I know that for a second I was like, maybe it's one of those things that it's gotten popular enough that I might not be the only person going to this Panda Express right now. It wasn't. I didn't think it would be, but for a second I thought, I don't know, the show's gotten really big this season. Who knows? But now maybe I'll make it a thing. Now people are going to start because it's a great idea. There were way more people working at this Panda Express than I saw in the show.
I think it was just the one, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the reason I also checked is I went back and I pulled up the HBO episode to make sure that the counter I was looking at was similar to the one, and it was, and that's it.
Did they have teriyaki with rice?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my little surprise.
That's boots on the ground reporting is what that is.
That is serendipity. That we were talking about the rehearsal right now, and I happen to be flying through the Houston airport, and as I'm landing, I'm thinking, oh yeah, why wouldn't I go do this? The fact that it didn't dawn on me before I even left was kind of absurd, but while I was sitting in the Houston airport, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if and I was like, we got a long way over, and Alicia walked with me, took the photos. She's a great photographer.
Did she have any Panda Express?
She did not. She also probably doesn't like Panda Express.
Okay.
She also wasn't very... She doesn't get very hungry when she flies, so...
No Panda Express was consumed.
Nope. Just checked it out. What do you know? Was that his order?
Yeah, teriyaki with white rice. And it stuck out to me because I think of Panda Express as Chinese food, and I think of teriyaki as Japanese food.
Yeah, if I had known that was the order, I might have just done it. Also, this is 6 a.m. So yeah. Panda Express was not on my mind as something to eat.
Fair.
All right, so
that's lovely. I like that.
Yeah. Now we can talk about that. So season 2, episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it again for fun.
Sure.
I loved this so much. I have notes. 2 seconds in. First off, greatest show ever? That's my note. I'm reading it.
Uh-huh.
Question mark?
I mean, it's really good.
It's really freaking good.
I was highly entertained for this entire season. I thought the ending was fantastic. I loved it.
I had heard that there was a.
But is it better than like Sesame Street? I don't know.
I heard that there was a twist, and it blew my mind. I didn't see it coming at all. I don't know.
I didn't see it coming either, but obviously this was going to be. It's the exact same twist as season 1, isn't it? Nathan has a
he incepts his own inception.
Exactly. He is watching this whole thing unfold, and he just can't help himself but insert himself into the situation at the end. That's exactly what.
It does feel like it always starts with him trying to help someone else, and then him being the person who gets helped. Which he made that turn many episodes ago when he starts exploring autism, and he starts his own exploration on why people don't like him as much as this other female first officer who was getting better ratings.
He's always turning the spotlight on himself, but in terms of like this is when he put himself into the family, that's another level entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't that because the other actor didn't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, dropped out.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. It ended the exact same way, and we all should have seen this coming. Of course, he's going to go and fly. Of course, he's going to say, "Okay, well, I better just get in a plane and fly it." But I did not see this coming at all. Even though, in retrospect, it was very obvious, which I think is a mark of a very good television show to make it make so much sense. This twist make so much sense, but at the same time, we're so captivated in the narrative, so led around by the various being breastfed by Sully's mother and seeing Nazi Paramount Plus. We're so invested in the moment of the TV that we don't see the very obvious thing coming. I loved it.
Also, it was like 2 years before the show started that he'd started training as a pilot, so he's holding this in the entire time, which blows my mind. But okay, so next note, I first wrote this fucking guy, and then I went scratch this John Travolta motherfucking guy, because at first he was like, I got my pilot's license. I was like, well, it shows him walking around his small plane. I'm like, well, of course he went and got a pilot's license. And then I was like, but he's not gonna. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, he's going to.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and rechange that note to this John Travolta motherfucking guy, because he's the only other actor I can think of who can also fly giant planes.
I think there's others, aren't there?
Commercial size planes?
Commercial, maybe not.
I mean, the only one I could think that might be would be Tom Cruise, but he's just like he flies like fighter stuff.
Yeah, and they just hand out the paperwork to him.
It comes along with his Scientology paperwork.
Yeah. He's on so many things with wheels. He's just grandfathered into a new thing.
I'm with it. The next note I have is a direct quote, which is, he became the least experienced person licensed to fly a 737 in North America.
Did you do any research to see if he really did actually get all of these licenses, and if he does actually fly planes from one place to another when they're empty and they just need to be in a different spot?
If we take him at face value, yes. Several recent interviews he's had, he is a licensed pilot. He does still do deliveries with 737s for this company that shuttles them around. I don't know how often.
I was taking him at his word too. I just didn't know if you had.
I had done a little bit, but not. I didn't dig too into it. And we can discuss something, because there is a little controversy we can discuss later. Before I get more into my notes, I guess we should probably summarize what's happened so far. The episode. How does the episode start?
Wasn't it with interviews of actors? There's potential actors who are going to be on the plane.
It starts with interviews. He's not interviewing. He's handing them lines.
Yeah.
And he says, your line is like Diet Pepsi, please.
Or whatever. And these are going to be actors that are in the plane that he will fly, and he wants to make sure that they understand that he will be the one flying. And there is a little bit of a nod to what people will do to get on television that has been a minor subplot, especially through Wings of Voice throughout the season.
My favorite one was that specific actor was like, how many people have said no? He goes, None. And the actor goes, actors.
Yeah.
It's just like,
they cut it in a very good way. I'm sure there was other questions and stuff raised, but it was a funny montage.
So then they cut to 2 years before, and he is walking around a Cessna 172 is my guess.
I thought it was a 173.
It can't be. As far as I know, those don't exist. I am not a big enough aviation enthusiast to correct you, but I will. I'll try anyways. It's definitely not a 173. And he's learning to fly, which he
might have been a 174.
He is struggling with.
He's apparently the worst student that this particular
has
flight
ever dealt with. They start passing him around
to see if somebody can do better. They show him visualizing it on a chair, on a couch. He's trying everything. He just can't quite.
I love the repeated cuts of my airplane.
Yeah, when he's trying to land, he's not quite doing it good, and they have to step in, which I think I can relate to. I don't know if I'm very bad at flying video games.
I think I could do well. I'm probably a percentage of that population who stupidly thinks they could land a plane in an emergency situation.
Oh, I could do that.
You're like, I can't fly a plane, but I could. In this scenario,
I could land it in an emergency. What are we talking about? Yeah, I could do that. I'm just not going up and zip zapping around.
I do not have my pilot's license. I have not flown a plane.
I actually don't have mine either.
Yeah, it checks out.
But he is very bad at it.
He is very bad. He does seem like the kind of person who would not naturally take to the aptitude of flying. Not that he wouldn't be good at it. He has the right personality to be like a good, safe pilot, but I don't think he has the he does not present the natural big machinery guy. Do you know what I mean?
He's kind of clumsy.
Yeah, it's like there's a
kayfabe.
There's a eye-hand coordination.
He's a little clumsy.
Athletic ability that I think
the bigger issue, he's constantly second guessing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to is that, and then you put on top of that the anxiety, and now he's just like, it's all coming together. And then he does what he always does, which he does this rehearsal thing where he practices by himself, and he rehearses that he's very good. He literally rehearses being a good pilot, he says, where he lands very well, and he has conversations. He practices conversations with other pilots where he's telling them how good he did.
Remember last step when he said he didn't need rehearsals? I suppose the visualization was from a timestamp perspective in the past compared to his conversation with the congressperson. But I thought that note was funny. But of course he's not content to just do the little tiny 2-seater planes. No, he's got to fly the big old
747,
the big old passenger
737.
planes. He can't just fly a plane full of passengers because they pay, but he can fly a big old plane full of people who he pays.
Which
to be there.
Him telling the NTSB member made me laugh so hard when
he had some skepticism.
He's like, yeah, but you can't just fly that. No one's gonna let you fly. And he's like, yeah, but I'll have the plane. He's like, yeah, but you can't fly passengers. He's like, yeah, but I could just actors. Yeah. And he keeps going. The NTSB is like, well, I mean, yeah, that's a loophole. Literally calling it a loophole. Hold on, I gotta let Gigi out. She got trapped.
Led to the funniest part, I thought, which was him going around trying to lease a plane, a 737 in this case, going to all of these different places that have planes for lease for some reason, and talking. There was one older gentleman who wanted to lease a very specific plane that did not look.
The scene of them walking around that plane and him talking about all the pieces and how awful that plane looked.
A bird's nest. There's some pieces that have fallen off that he doesn't know where they go. Big belt. That was my.
But he put his family in it.
That was the funniest part of the ep to me.
For a minute, I thought that was the plane they were going to get.
I did too. I thought there's no way he's going to. Yeah, he might. He might just pick this particular. Yeah. We're spending a lot of time on it, but he doesn't. He gets one that looks like it flies good.
He finds a much better looking airplane, which, spoiler alert, the plane that belongs to is one of the companies that are responsible for ICE deportations.
Well,
he obviously didn't know this at the time. This was before all of what's going on now is going on. So it's just kind of a little side effect.
Well, I don't like that.
Why is the video so weird?
So he finds himself a first mate, and in a wonderful.
He does a very good job picking out a first mate for the specific reason of him. He wanted to be the person in charge because obviously him as the captain.
He wants to be captain all years.
Yeah, if he's captain all years and he has less experience than the first officer, then he doesn't have a position of power. So he selects who?
I forget his name, but a co-pilot that we know from Wings of Voice.
From our approximate location over here in Gig Harbor.
Right. Who wants to go into television. So now there is a more of an even power dynamic. He's not just an idiot comedian going to fly the plane. He is potentially a guy in Hollywood who could, from a TV show co-pilot's perspective, help him break into this business we call show.
At this point, he goes through the training to get the 737. So he does a whole bunch of landings in a simulator where I think I already knew this, but he pretends to find out that you just go right from simulator to flying your first flight, which is the truth. You don't practice in a 737.
And it just looks like a Disneyland ride.
It does. A very expensive, pretty cool one. I think we'll have to ask Jeff, but I think Jeff has actually spent time in a simulator before. Maybe Jeff and Kevin both. But the simulators are very good and very realistic. But it is interesting to me that you go straight to a plane. Now the normal.
Sorry, what would be a second step there or a third step?
An empty plane.
Oh, an empty. Okay, sure. I accept that answer.
They do, however, normally. They are the first officer on a plane for a while. They don't just automatically go to captain, which he is just skipping right to that step. And he's going to do this first flight, if we believe him at face value, with these 140 passengers on his plane.
He did buy it. He gets to be Donnie drive the car.
He does. It's his car. He gets to sit in the driver's seat. You can call shotgun, but driver's seat is his. I mean, HBO bought the plane. We go to him filling out he's getting his FAA license, and he's filling out the health, and he gets to the check about do you suffer from depression or anxiety,
etc.
And we take a little detour to go talk to a medical professional because he has never been diagnosed with anything like possibly maybe autism. And he goes and talks to a doctor to see if he is like clinically depressed or clinically anxious. And they decide to do a functional MRI, an fMRI. And one thing that I thought was interesting is that apparently you can detect autism on a functional MRI, which I thought was curious. I don't know if I have enough information to debate that, but apparently that's a thing.
And you can detect anything.
Yeah.
All of the brain stuff, anxiety, depression, etc. And the second funniest part is him asking if he can just do a couple of those. Do we have to test for
all of them?
Can I just pick and choose the ones that I want to test for? Which playing up the idea that if he was going to go down this road, he would be clinically diagnosed as autistic, neurodivergent, something in there.
And obviously this is less clear than like checking your back and finding out you have a displaced disc. The process for like
the back is very complicated.
Going,
actually.
Yes, but
there's a bunch of little knobs back there,
little couple twisties. But it's not as clear cut as the information they have to go through a functional MRI seems like a whole lot more than just like a really fancy X-ray where they just like, yes, your back is curved or your disc is out of place or you've got a ruptured disc. Before that, we find out he was into magic.
We found out a lot about him, that he had a gambling problem, that he was into magic.
The magic scenes were very interesting because he tiptoes around the autism concept and conversation constantly because he's talking about how he had to practice how a normal person would act because people found his magic off-putting because it didn't seem like his movements were normal.
Yeah.
We'll get back to the magic thing because I there's more to it than just that. In my opinion, and in some other people's opinions. When he was responding to the fMRI tech, when she's like, it's going to take a while to do this, you can't just find this out. It was one of those moments where I'm like, I can't tell if he's acting sometimes. Like, this seems obvious to me that they're not going to be able to just, like, give you the results right there and then. And it blows my mind if he doesn't understand that. But at the same time, he delivers everything so dryly. I was like, maybe he really thought that she was just going to go, yeah, this green color right here, that's depression. So you got that. And we got anxiety over here. That's the blue one.
But no doctor.
Nope. They say
this works this way in no doctor office, no hospital. The photographer never says anything other than, we got all the photographs. Thank you.
And then they say it'll take about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to get the results. And he goes, well, I'm supposed to fly a plane. I love how he delivers it.
In
He's like,
2 days.
I need to fly a plane full of people.
Oh, are you a pilot? No, I'm a comedian. That was very funny.
And then he's just like, well, I guess technically I'm not diagnosed with anything. So he checks the old box.
Gets his cert,
and shows up for the flight. Which at this moment, while I'm watching this, because we typically watch together, but spoiler alert, we were not watching this together because I was on my way back from Mexico. I was watching this as I was landing in an airplane, which for a little bit got a little bit weird.
I was pretty concerned that you were going to tell me you watched it on a phone, on a mobile device.
I did.
I'm concerned about that.
I don't normally do this, but that's how I had to watch it.
I watched it on the big screen as God intended.
Speaking of, I saw a very funny meme where they said, I saw a picture and it was like a TV and it had Interstellar on, and it said, watching Interstellar on a 27-inch TV in a Mexican tire shop as God intended, or as Christopher Nolan intended. Which is anyways, that one made me laugh. Yes, I did not want to watch it on my phone, but I did watch it on my phone, and I think it's still, this is one that translated. I don't think it's such a big action giant boom boom flick. But right as all of the like flight stuff is going, I'm realizing I'm on a plane and there's all the drama of, will he fly? Will he crash? Obviously he's going to live because he's not dead now, and we would have heard about a giant crash that happened with 140 souls on.
Still a very tense scene.
Super tense.
The floor outcome is that he needs to have his co-pilot take over and land the plane, and maybe it's a rough landing and he doesn't get his deposit back or something like that. But I thought I was very emotionally invested in him correctly landing that plane. It was very well shot, very well edited.
I was expecting them to do a fake moment where he would fake an issue that the first officer would have to like override him. And I think the closest we got was the plane doing footage got probably too close. And the first officer kept commenting on it, but didn't want to like let his opinion be known that it might be an issue, and they should probably tell this plane to not fly so closely to their plane.
First Officer all ears was a nervous Nelly. You could tell him just fidgeting. I felt like you could see the exact point where he got up in the air and realized, hold on.
I'm not.
What have I done?
He's flying the plane.
What have I done?
I loved when he did his check of the plane when he's supposed to do it. He realizes he was walking the wrong direction, and he like shows him, look at he's like, oh, I'm supposed to walk this way. I love that he was, the first officer was like, yeah, I had to fix your flaps for you, and I didn't tell you about that.
Which proves
proves the point.
The thesis that he's running out here with.
The reason I bring up the plane flying too close is that's the perfect time where he should have said something, because to him he's going, this isn't an experience I'm used to because I'm not in Hollywood, but he should be going, but I'm a pilot and this plane shouldn't be this close to our plane.
Well, and
And he obviously let it go because it was just like, no, I'm in this situation or this scenario.
I could argue back at you on that one, but by his own admission, Nathan did something wrong that he then did for him and didn't tell him about.
And didn't say it, yeah.
So absolutely he did not start a confrontation with Captain All-Ears, even though he made a big point to be as all-eerie as possible. He still wasn't 100% confident in bringing these things up.
Spoiler alert, he lands the plane.
He lands the plane, everybody gets out, everybody gives some claps.
Everybody tells him he should probably continue being a pilot.
And he does, apparently. He flies empty 737s and the like from place to place when they need to go somewhere else. Still not a passenger pilot, but he flies those big old planes that are more or less empty.
And he has a very autistic moment where he talks about how nice it is to be by himself on these planes sometimes when it's just him. And then we cut back to what I thought was going to be the end of the ep and was pretty close to the end of the ep, which was Wings of a Fucking Voice. We got to see the finale of Wings of the Voice. And here is where, again, I am so gripped by this show that I didn't see it coming. And she starts to sing her song, and I'm going, is she going to sing Amazing Grace? Because that's kind of that's the callback to me. Because you keep talking about the songs they can sing. And then what does she start singing? Evanescence.
I
literally wrote, how did I not see that coming? Because I didn't, and I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't see that.
I didn't see it coming. I picked it out once the piano notes started. Yeah. And again, perfect end cap.
Yeah.
For that. And while she is singing the fuck out of this song.
Sang her heart out, did her own thing to it, which I'll get to because I have a comment from Amy Lee on that.
She was really giving that her all and did a lovely job. Concurrent to this, our guy, Nathan, is reading his voicemail transcription that says, "This is the doctor's office. We got your brain scan back. We want to talk about the results." And he says, he looks at it a couple times, he reads it a couple of times, and then he clicks delete and he says goodbye.
Now, you notice that was a callback to like the beginning of the season, right? Because he's hanging out in this back door and the lights are going off just like the flames in the first part where he was standing in the background when he was watching the first plane crash. Like, he was absolutely back to like this guy being in the back corner, like puppet master playing with all of his things. And yeah, that the note comes up. Small brief side note. Amy Lee said, just watched the new episode of At the Rehearsal HBO, Bring Me to Life is in it again. And this time it's being sung by the beautiful Isa Grin Latina. It's another fascinating episode. And Isabella, you were amazing. Love all the cool ad lib at the end. And also super impressed you did all that in those heels. And then there is a comment from Isabella that says, is this real chat? I just thought it was great that Amy Lee is weighing the show.
Shout out to Amy.
Yeah.
And
calling out the person who won. For a second, I was like, is the person who won the one who wrote that article? It's not. It's a different person, but apparently they spent a lot of time together. And she's a little disappointed that the other article got written. That she knew pretty early on what this show was about and was not surprised that it's what it turned into. And then we add a little bit of a tail end, which is just that he kind of does a little nod to like pilots are doing their best to keep you safe. And they're obviously pretty qualified at their jobs. And he has like a new found respect for the position. No notes.
And then that's it? You don't want to talk about the very end?
Do I not remember the very end?
Him saying at the very end that only the best and brightest can be up here. So if I'm up here in this pilot seat, absolutely nothing's wrong with me. That was the whole show right there.
It's that's acceptance, right? Self-acceptance?
No. No. No, that's
Are you trying to tell me that that's outright denial?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a little bit of that.
It is absolutely hilarious to me that he would go through all of these episodes, spending all this money, making a point to talk about how much of HBO's budget he has spent on this secret mission to discover more about himself and how he can transform himself into somebody who relates to other people and can fake the sincerity that other people have and to be able to do those good human to human relations. And then he gets to the end of it and he gets what could be the start of the real set of answers. And he says, ooh.
Obviously everything's fine. It does, because to me, I read that whole line as him just being like, pilots are the best of the best, so maybe there isn't a problem.
And that was it?
And that was it. But yeah. No, he's fine. He's fine, Micah. I loved it. I loved all of it. I've been listening to some interviews he did recently. He did one on CNN, which might be my favorite, with Wolf Blitzer.
I didn't get a chance to watch that.
That one I would check out, especially because Wolf Blitzer and his co-host, who's much younger than him, obviously, they're like, I'll play the captain and you can play, First Officer Blunt. And Nathan immediately points out, he's like, are you sure that, like, you, the younger person, should play Captain Blunt in this situation, or like should play Captain All Years, and Wolf Blitzer, the person who's been in the news industry forever, should be the one that is practicing Officer Blunt? Like, do you not see the issue here with what you're trying to present? And he goes on to call the FAA idiots. And it's so funny because the entire time our good friend from the NTSB is like sitting next to him, and like,
really,
they're both seriously trying to talk about this, but you can see his eyes roll every time Nathan they're clearly saying the same thing. Nathan just has absolutely zero tact into how he says it, and it's the most comedic delivery. I think it's the most shticky version of what the entire show is, which is just like, I am not social norms, and I am trying to navigate social norms. I love it. I don't think anything's going to change in the pilot industry anytime soon, or at least with FAA mandation. Yeah. I'm so excited for season 3.
Same.
I'm excited for whatever this young man does.
Yeah.
I call me an actor, but I'd fly in a plane with him.
Yeah. Do you mean you'd watch another show with him, or do you mean literally you'd go on the airplane?
I'd go on the airplane. I've also watched another show, obviously. I mean, I think after the last season, you and I already agreed that no matter what, we're riding the ride. We bought the ticket.
Yeah.
We're on the ride. He gets 2 full seasons before I abandon ship. And
Agreed.
Whatever project he's doing.
Agree. It was tremendous. It was very well done.
Do you want to talk about what we're going to do next?
Sure.
What do you want to do next?
Oh, I thought you had some ideas.
I did have an idea.
Okay.
My main idea is Murder Robot.
Oh, Murder Robot.
Because we haven't started it, and it's new, and it's the most current thing.
You could do that.
That's my current idea, but we can talk about it not in a boring way in front of the camera.
Deal.
Anything you want to say?
I do. There is one quick thing I'd like to say to you.
Yes.
And all those watching at home.
Yes.
Stay gold.
Stay gold, Pony Boy.